Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Richard, founder of Short-Term Rental University, and if you're new to the channel, let me just introduce myself. I'm a professional real estate developer, and in my prior life, I worked on Wall Street where I ran a $4.5 billion hedge fund. I believe short-term rentals, done properly, are the single best investment opportunity I've seen in my entire investment career. So if that sounds good and you want to learn how to do this yourself for your financial freedom, go ahead and subscribe to the channel now and like the video, and you'll be updated with future tips, suggestions, and advice on how to monetize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Today's topic is the forthcoming IPO. Many of us know Airbnb is going to go public in 2020, and the reason that it will occur in 2020, almost irrespective of anything else that's happening in Airbnb's business or the economy or anything else, is that when they created their employment contracts and their options that they gave top senior employees in their firm, many of these options expire in 2020, and they can't allow that to happen. They need the employees that have helped build this platform to be rewarded and be financially secure and so on and so forth. So they can't allow these things to expire. I suppose there probably is some legal way that they could extend it, but they don't want to do that, and the employees don't want that either. They really want the liquidity event. They want to get paid for what they've helped accomplish and build, and rightfully so. And so the question is, as a professional investor, would I be investing in Airbnb on the initial public offering? And I'm going to save you watching the whole video if you're not interested. The short answer is no. I imagine that this might be shocking to you, right? I mean, I'm a huge Airbnb advocate. It's the single best opportunity I've seen in my investment career to invest in the short-term rental space, and Airbnb is the fastest growing platform. And so why would I not invest? Why would I not own equity in Airbnb, the company that's facilitated this and created financial freedom for the tens of thousands of viewers and followers and the people in the Facebook group? And the answer for me is pretty straightforward. I generally don't like taking professional investors out of their positions and being like the dope on the retail side, right? So what does that mean exactly? Well, the people that have invested in Airbnb, while it's a private company, are some of the smartest, brightest people, different private equity funds, venture capital firms, friends and family. These are like what's known as smart money. They have more information about the company earlier. Their returns are huge and outsized. And so the way that I tend to look at the world is, if I'm buying, who's selling and why are they selling? And if they're selling because they believe Airbnb is at the fair market value, it's worth $35 billion or $40 billion, and they believe that it could go up to, say, $45 billion, and they're exiting, well, what do I know differently than they do? And the answer is nothing. I have much less information than they do. They have all the information. I have none of the information. If they're selling, then who's buying? And so generally speaking, I don't like initial public offerings because it's a liquidity event for the smart money. And what they're looking to do is to exit and not necessarily grow that business from where it is 10x. And a second reason that I don't particularly like it is there's been a really big change in the IPO market overall, where companies used to go public earlier because they needed the money. And so you would have companies like Amazon and other companies go public when they were worth a small fraction of what companies today. Companies today are these unicorns, and they go public at 30 billion valuation, 40 billion valuation, 50 billion valuation. And the question is, what's the likelihood that there's going to be, say, a 5x or a 10x? So if Airbnb goes public at $35 billion, is there a 10x off the IPO? Is it going to be worth $350 billion? And the answer is, I don't think so. But that's the way you used to get compensated for an IPO. It would go public at, say, $3 billion, and it would be worth $30 billion, 10x. And so the public, investors like you and I, we could participate in that 10x. But that 10x has already happened. It's for the smart money. They've participated all along. They're exiting after the 10x and selling to people like you and I. And I'm not saying that I will never invest in IPOs or in Airbnb, but my first glance at this, and I don't have a lot of the details yet, it's not made public, is to just sort of wait and see. I don't need to be there day one. There's no real massive opportunity for being there day one. And so consequently, I'll just take a pause, watch, reevaluate, learn more, and follow along. When Google went public, it was very similar to what I predict will happen with Airbnb. I believe Airbnb will go public via a direct offering and skipping all of the investment managers and all of the different brokerage firms that charge all these fees. I think they will go direct to the public like Google did via a Dutch auction, a decade plus ago. And during that period of time, even though I was an avid Google user and I believed in Google, I didn't understand how they would monetize or how they would grow. And so I passed on the IPO. Big mistake, right? Well, not really. After the IPO, I continued to follow Google and use Google and watch the rate of growth and the adoption rate and how much more superior their technology was to Yahoo, which is what I was using at the time. And I bought Google in the open market after the IPO, maybe 3 to 6 months after the IPO, and I've generated about 10x since then. So I didn't buy it on the day of the IPO. I watched, but I bought it after, and I participated in the massive gain. But again, when Google went public, it was a different world. They didn't wait to go public until they were already worth tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars. It was a smaller company. And so the IPO attractiveness on a relative scale was more interesting and appealing to me then than buying a $40 billion company like Uber or Lyft or Airbnb or WeWork that failed. So I'm not particularly interested in not knowing a lot about the company today, supporting the private valuation, giving the smart money their gains and their profits and giving them the money back, and me holding the bag right now at this higher elevated level that's really lofty and I'm not sure is really worthwhile. So for me personally, I'll just pause, pass, reflect, and try and determine whether it's a good investment once I have more data, more facts, and it's less about the emotion of like, this has been a really good platform for me and I want to participate. This is now a new independent decision, a variable that I haven't contemplated before. Would I like to own equity in Airbnb? Theoretically, yes, but at the right valuation, not at the wrong valuation. And so personally, and I'm not making this decision for you, you should use your own analysis, but for me personally, I'll pause and I'll wait. There's no rush. Another consideration that enters my analysis is sort of the state of the economy and where we are in the stock market. And we're at all-time highs, and we're in the longest bull market we've ever seen, and this time is not different. That's one of the biggest mistakes that the individual investor or the retail investor makes in anything, is that this time is different. Well, let me tell you firsthand, having lived through 1987 crash, 2002, 2008, and now, like, this time is not different. There will always be returns to the mean. There's constantly periods of overvaluation and then correction. And so if we've gone straight up for the last 10, 11 years, and it's the longest bull market in history, we're long in the tooth, we're late in the economic cycle, and you know what? Like, I'm a better seller in that environment than I am a buyer. So just from a purely economic perspective and where we are in the investment cycle, this is not a place where I am reaching and investing in risky IPO type investments late in the cycle. I'm actually being much more conservative and concerned and keeping powder dry because I know this time is not different. There will in fact be a better opportunity to enter later. And I can't tell you with any certainty whether that's tomorrow or next year or in 10 years, but I do know that when we're in the longest bull market we've ever seen and valuations are at the highest levels we've ever seen and everything is priced to perfection, my radar goes off and says, start to bring risk appetite down, ratchet down, not push harder, go for more, hope this continues, believe this time is different. Those are rookie mistakes and I don't want you to make them. So whatever you think about the IPO, I'd love to hear your comment below. Have you invested in other IPOs? Will you invest in the Airbnb IPO? Please share with us your thoughts because again, it's all about the community and one mind here is good, but two is better and 200's even better, 2,000, 20,000, etc. So share below, like the video, and please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.